Good morning, everybody. I'm actually very, very excited to preach about this because, let me start who I am. So I'm Kevin, as is mentioned. I have got a lovely wife, Simone, who I've married. We've got two children, Faye and Ruan. So I have got my parenting certificate. All right, so I've got that. I'm also honored here today to have both my mom and my dad sitting at the back listening to me, as well as my in-laws, Bason and Tanya. Yeah, so I'm going to be preaching about honoring and parenting. So I've got both my parents here, and I've got to do well. So, yeah. So if you could turn with me to Ephesians 6, and we'll start off from there. Ephesians 6 says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may be well with you, and you may live long on the earth. And you, Father, do not provoke your children to wrath, but rather bring them in the training and admonition of the Lord." So it's a heavy topic. It's a very strong topic. So I think put your crash helmets on, because this is going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, I think, for some of us. So first of all, I want to take it step by step. I'm going to be taking the honoring side of it, and I'm going to be taking the instruction side of it. So number one, honoring. What is the definition of the word honor? Honor is to be held with great respect. All right. Now, to hold with great respect, and the other thing is, it's from Exodus 20:12 is where the commandment comes from. It is the fifth commandment out of the 10 commandments, honor your mother and father. So it's a command. So not a maybe think you do it, suggestion, do I feel like it? It's a command. And it's a command to honor mothers and fathers. The other thing here is, how many of you here have got parents still alive today? They're not. Okay? So does it stop with your children? It carries on with you. So often the Bible refers to children being, exactly, we're children, being us as a body, as a corporate. It's not just your children. So I'm going to focus on that today. I'm not just talking about the children. I'm also talking about us honoring our parents, as well as parents being honored by children. That makes more sense. All right. So in Scripture it says here, "Children, obey your parents, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. But it is also a commandment with a consequence." Okay. So your promise says that it may go well with you and that you may live long. All right? So what happens if you don't obey? Well, it doesn't go well with you. There's your consequence. And that's a commandment with a promise and with a thing. So us as parents need to raise children that honor you. And the number one thing is, children imitate so well. They monkey see, monkey do. Have you heard that expression? They imitate so well. So if you, as parents, are not honoring your parents, what does your children see? It's a true thing. And I want to say, if some of you who hadn't had great parents, sorry. I am sorry for that, but it's a command to honor them. You get to break that curse. You get to do that. So children want to see their parents honoring their parents, that sort of stuff. And an analogy I wanted to use was, as a husband, because I'm going to be speaking from the husband's part of it mostly, okay? As a husband, if your wife, who you love dearly, who you chose to marry and spend eternity with, if some random guy comes up and disrespects you in some way, what are you going to do? Have a nice day, thank you. No. I would sort the guy out, maybe first of all with some harsh words and then maybe more harsh words. But if you're a stranger, you don't allow a stranger to treat your wife like that, how much so why are you allowing our kids to do that? You as a father need to set that level. It doesn't happen. This is my wife. And I've got a really fun story, which I've okayed with my dad, that I'm going to share. Some of you have heard it before. But my dad set an example for me. I was 15, 16 years old, around about there, and I got to a point where I thought, I can start flexing my muscle. Let's see how far I can go with this one, I wasn't a bad kid, but I was getting to that teenage years where I thought, I wanted to be a bit macho, that sort of thing. So my mom, bless her heart, but she was very woos with me as well. So we had a thing where they say, listen, who wants to give you the hiding? We're like, Dad, because Mom used to, woo, it was sore. And so something happened, I was homeschooled, and I can't actually remember the whole thing, but I had kind of backchatted my mom, in a way, and she was like, okay, and she walked out, and I thought, I've won that one. And I thought, yeah, I've got a bit of ground here. That night, my dad comes in, and he says, hey, Kev, just come here a second, and I'll never forget. So I'm like, yeah, hey, Dad. And he's standing like this, and he goes right up into our chest. He says, so I heard you disrespected my wife. I said, yeah, Dad. In the chest, on the ground. He says, don't do that again, and he walked out. I got smacked. He set the bar. Don't disrespect my wife, but I will always remember those words. I heard you disrespected my wife, not your mom, my wife. He set that bar. And obviously I phoned child services and I'm still waiting for the call. But I also found out that I'm not the only one who's gone through that story. Some other people have also had it, where their dad has sorted them out. And that's what it's meant to be like. And if you're a man, you take it and you realize that's the bar. Tim, we were chatting with, when we had Faye coming through, and it was a very difficult time with me kind of adjusting that the wife's attention goes towards the child for some reason, I don't know why, and I was feeling very lonely. So I had a chat with Tim, and Tim was like, it's life, and I thought, okay, I guess if Tim's going out, it's life. But something he mentioned to me, he says, your children don't make your family. You made your family. When you married your wife, you made family. Your children were brought into the family. So it's the same thing with your instructions and how you chat with your children. I set the bar with my wife before Faye came in. So Faye fell under that bar. I didn't make a bar all of a sudden when the kid came. She fell under my covering. All right. Titus 2 verse 7, it says, in everything, set them an example by doing what is good. It's exactly, in Titus it says, you need to be that. As fathers and mothers, you have the opportunity to be the heroes in your children's story. You know that? Why would you give it to someone else? Why would someone else be the hero of your children's story? You want to be that. So you want to set an example, set a good precedent where the children are going, Dad does that with Mom, I'm going to do that with my wife. Mom does that with Dad, I'm going to do that with my husband. You set it. You set the honoring standard. And me honoring Simi and Simi honoring me, kids can see that and they run with it. If your children respect you, it makes it easier for them to respect others. If it can start in the home, then it's so easy with the strangers. They can easily happily go off and do their thing, and it's a pleasure to see. I'll run my notes here quickly. The other thing I wanted to mention is honoring your parents, like I've mentioned before, doesn't stop with you leaving the home. It carries on. I left the home, and then my parents bought a place with me, so again, I'm back in the home with them. That's what I say. So I've still got to honor my parents, but even with me not being in the same household, I still have to honor them. And it does not stop. But then a lot of people realize that, we think, I've left the home, I've left the covering. You haven't. Parents are still alive, you still honor them. Okay. From that side, I'm going to move into the instruction side. It says, and you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. Again, it's another command. This is not a suggestion. Hey, fathers, maybe if you feel like it, when you've got time, let's have a chat with the kids. It's not some other person's job. It is our job as fathers to do that. That is a command from God to do. And I had the amazing privilege of bringing Faye to Christ. When she at home the one time, and she just said, Dad, I really want to just know God. And I managed to bring her to salvation. How many fathers want that? Why would you leave it to some Sunday school teacher? This is your opportunity. This is an amazing opportunity that you could leave. It might not be your first conversion, but it's your children. You get to go to the Father and going, I set this example and I led her. And I led my children to faith. And it's an instruction. You lead your children in that way. I'm going to read some scriptures here. Kind of going to smack through a couple of scriptures, so please bear with me. Proverbs 17, verse 6. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Sorry. I've got a lot of things here. That's for a later one. So I'm trying to find out where I've put all my scriptures here. But it speaks about, I'm actually trying to find my notes here. Give me a second, sorry. Say again? One, give me a couple more seconds, please. Yeah. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ear in the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I'll utter dark sayings of old, which you have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. And we will not hide from them, from their children, telling to the generations to come the praise of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he has done. This is a grandparent's role. This is a very interesting thing because it says from generations to generations. So you think it as a grandparent, you're done. You're not. You're really not done. This is, you live off the stories, and you get to tell the stories of everything that's happened in your life. I had a really amazing childhood growing up. I had both my mom's dad and my dad's dad very influential in my life. My mom's dad was a very much a mechanical-minded person, so he taught me a lot of skills with my hands. I'm a carpenter, and he taught me that a lot of business skills and a lot of hands-on skills, and that proved into my life. My dad's dad was a pastor in River, and every time I used to go up there to do youth and that, he was there with supper, and he would pray for me. And I remember that, and they've both passed on in 2017, but it still sticks with me. Big time. So do not think as grandparents, if you are over 80, that you have done. You are not done. You get to sit down with the children with a cup of tea because you can't go kick the ball with them anymore, but you get to talk with them, and you get to tell stories of generations and everything like that. And even if it wasn't a good one, start making your own. Start talking about current events and running with it, because it sticks. I'm telling you now, it sticks with the children for years to come. It says here, Proverbs 17, verse 6. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children is to their father. It says here in the word that it's the children's children are the crown of old men. As an old man, it's just like, yeah, I've got all these, and I've got them growing up in a godly way. That must be an amazing feeling. Hey, Paul. Hey, Dad. This is a good one. So I'm finding here another one. Sorry, it's not the one at all. Oh, and you've practiced this so many times and you're thinking, I've got this, and then you realize your notes have all jumbled up. Sorry. Okay, Proverbs. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That was something my mom told me often and often and often. She says, the reason why I do this is because of this verse. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Because a lot of people here, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are worried about the future. A lot of it, especially with how the world is going and how everything's shifting and changing. You're going, but I can't really do that now because I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. I don't know what my children... His word is constant. The word says, train up your child in the way he should go, which is the instruction of the Lord, and when he is old, he shall not part from it. That's something you have to, as parents, hold on to. Do your absolute best now. And when he is older, you will see those fruits. The other part of the scripture says, fathers, do not lead your children into wrath. Now, this is interesting. I had to sit and think, what does that mean? And he says, do not irritate your child. And avoid unfair and cruel behavior or blatant favoritism, which is a very hard one sometimes to do. But that irritates you. Like as a son, I thought, what irritated me from my dad? and I have to be very careful with what I say here, but some of the times, like my dad never ever did any of that to irritate me, and that sort of stuff. And I must say, but some of the things that could irritate your children is, like it says, favoritism, unfair behavior. And another thing is no praise for good work. And it's a very big one, because a lot of us sit with discipline. Your kid comes and says, yeah, but that's normal. Finally, you did something normal. No, praise that. Why do we focus so much on the disciplining side of things, and we completely forget to do the good, the praising? And you come home from work and you're tired and you're exhausted, and your daughter comes and she's like, look at my painting, and it's just a splotch on a piece of paper, and you're like, I don't understand this, but well done. Your boy comes out at 3 years old saying, hey, Daddy, let's go play rugby. And I've done 10,000 steps that day going, oh, I got to go run out on the yard. Fine, I'll go run out on the yard, because, yes, that means so much to him. And I get fit. It means so much to them. And I think I need to encourage that with families and with parenting. There's instruction and there's discipline, and that's 100% of the time. I agree with that. But love, there's no limit to love. You discipline your kids, and you do it, but afterwards, you just overflow that discipline with love, because your kids will not look back at that hiding going, oh, geez, I got beaten. No, because you love your child so much. It just completely overshadows it. When you look at the Father, the world, us, are made in sin. The burdens of sin is death. But his love completely overshadows that. Completely overshadows that. Punishment is still there, but his love is just completely overshadowed. So please, that's a big point, I think, for us as parents, is do not take the little goals in your children's life for granted. That's it, for granted. Because for them, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Like my mom was saying, the one time Ruan comes in and goes, my truck is broken. I'm going, oh, well. For him, it's a big thing. It's his toy. His little toy got broken. It's like the end of the world for him. He's like, my truck at 3 years old, this is what I've had for 6 months. It is gone. It's broken. Us, we're like, oh, it's only been 6 months. We can buy a new one. He doesn't realize that. So let him experience heartache, because it's real for him. But then show him how to fix it. Because that's true. It's a big deal in their lives. It's a massive deal in their lives. Fathers are meant to be given positive command to bring up the children. You, as a father, are made to represent God in absolutely everything that you do. And that is not an easy task, because you will fail. It is said, you will fail. But because we are human, we get to try again, and we get to try, and by God's grace, we get to carry on. And when you fail, admit it. I've admitted it so many times. My kids did something, and I admonished them incorrectly. My wife came and said, actually, I've gone to my children and said, listen, Papa was wrong. That means a lot. It takes a lot of pride. It does. But you're showing your vulnerability to your children. They can see it. So don't be scared to admit that you're wrong, and then fix it. The big thing. It also, Paul says, to bring up the children the instructions of the Lord. Now, a lot of people are going, where's the instructions? Because you're thinking, oh, let's go to a parenting course, or let's go to the father's event that's going to happen. There's free material out there to find it. You can Google how to parent Bible verses, enter. It's there. It is not hard to find stuff, but it is our job as parents to find it. It is not some Sunday school teacher or some teacher in the school, bless their hearts, but it's not their job. It is not their job. It falls with you. When you go to heaven and they say, what happened with the children? Well, so-and-so in the teacher's group, no. It is not. It is up to you. And there's so much. I mean, there's the Sermon on the Mount. There's so much from there that you can pull from. Deuteronomy's Exodus, there's a lot of, that's where your basic laws and everything come through. Proverbs have got so much. My goodness, the Proverbs, you sit there and you go like, blessed is those, a false witness shall perish, but the man who bears him will speak endlessly. There's so much stuff in Proverbs that you sit there and you go, I could spend years on this. There is so much instruction to go through. And you can't get through it in a year. Thank goodness your children take a time to grow until they're 18. So you've got 18 years, some of you less now, but you've got from when they're young to to when they're old, to get so much of this word into them. And it starts with, come sit on the bed and let's read a Bible story. Start them off on that. Very simple. Stories of David and Goliath, great one. My favorite, still to this day, my favorite stories. And you sit there and you can just actually, you'd be so surprised at how much they absorb. You'd be so surprised. Putting worship music on in the car, good worship music. It's amazing. And then you sit there and you're sitting in your house and then you hear your daughter singing this praise song in the yard. And you're like, wow, it's amazing. Start setting it. Start just living it. Part of your life. Just part of your prayer life. Your children see you pray. They will imitate it. They will pray. Your children see you reading the word. They imitate it. They will read the word. And then eventually you don't read a story verse and they're going to go, Dad, why aren't we reading a story tonight? Okay, yeah, maybe I should do something. They pick it up very, very quickly. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my notes here. Another thing that I came with, so if anyone knows who I am, I love my rugby. Okay, I'm not allowed to speak about rugby, but I'm going to use it as an example because, yeah, you know. So I love rugby, and I want my little boy to play rugby, 3 years old rugby. I'd love him to play rugby. So obviously I go take him to a hockey school. No, I take him to a rugby club, or I teach him myself, you know. So my daughter does ballet. We take her to a ballet. I cannot do ballet, sorry. It's up to my wife. I'll probably break an ankle. But she goes to ballet. So you want your children to grow up godly. Bring them up godly. Don't bring them up to something else. It's so important. Your child wants to imitate a certain thing. Let them imitate that through a curriculum, through something. If you don't have the skills, ask. Man, we've got so many people here in the church alone that I could take so many parenting advices from, and I do. We are so many people here to do it. I have not reached a grandfather at all. I might look it sometimes, but I'm not a grandfather. So if it gets to that, I want to ask some of the older people, going, how does this happen? How does it work? When I had Faye, this was new to me. First of all, it was a daughter, which I've never had. I haven't had a sister, female cousin, nothing. So this is a girl in my life. I'm going, what do I do? So I asked a lot of questions. I researched so much stuff, even before she was born. I sat there studying. I mean, I could tell you everything it needs to know about how to deliver a child and how to look after the child. But it's very difficult to put that into practice. So I asked so many people. I really went out there and I asked how to do it. Then Ruan comes on. Now all of a sudden I'm a parent of 2. This is now new for me. But for someone who's got 5 children, James, this is his start. He's never had 5, you know. So I don't know how you're going to ask. Sorry, I don't know who you're going to ask for 5 children. There's not many here. But if you want to know how to raise a lot of kids, there's a family. Yeah? That's Corvus, yeah. It's Corvus as well. But that's what it is. Find people. The community is here for it. You know, it says the village raised the children. Yes, this is the community. This is the thing. Go for it. And do not be ashamed. We all make mistakes. We really do all make mistakes. But it's never too late. Never too late with the children. And on ending, actually not ending. This is one for the Omars, actually, they've found. 2 Timothy 1 verse 5. When I call to remember the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother, Lois, and in your mother, Eunice, and I am persuaded in you also. This is Timothy talking about his grandmother's in that. See? So Paul writing to Timothy, sorry. This is Timothy, yeah. But his grandmother and then his mother. This is not just the father's role. Yeah. Let me make it clear, it is not just the father's role. Mothers play such a massive part in this. And you've also got to understand, during the time, fathers were in the field and fathers went to war. So the mothers looked after the children. And it was so important for the compassion and the love from the mothers to take over. But when the fathers came back, the instruction came. But you as mothers cannot leave it for someone else. You as mothers cannot leave it for the fathers to come back and start disciplining, because sometimes the fathers work late, there's long shifts and everything like that. But you have a way to imitate the faith and grandmothers. Oh, you guys have a very special spot in my heart. And I mean, I know Priscilla, Omi. We can go there anytime, and there's a sweetie blick. And I'm not allowed to use the sweetie blick anymore because now she's got great-grandchildren. But I can go there anytime. Making your house available for anything. And there's so much wisdom that can come from Omas. Sometimes the grandfathers can be a bit like, back in my day, we went uphill to school and uphill back home. You know, sometimes it's like, yeah, Grandpa. But, you know, Omas will sometimes bring the truth, you know. They bring the grounding and the truth. So really, listen to them. And in ending, this is something that I think every single one of us wants to hear from the Father. And every single one of us want to tell our children. In 3 John 1 verse 4, it says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. Yeah, so I imagine getting to heaven and going, you know what, I'm here, here's my children. And having absolutely no regret. That's what I live for. Yeah. Number one, that's what I live for. And to hear the Father say, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. So I encourage you with this Ephesians, honor is so important. It's a command that your children honor you. It is very important. It is not a non-negotiable. You have to let your children honor you. Because if the children honor you, they'll honor other people. And their life will be so blessed. And their life will be long. Fathers, instruct your kids. Instruct your kids and love your kids unconditionally. There's so much discipline that you need to do with the children, but make sure that your love completely overshadows it. So that is my song. And thank you.
Please, would you please stand?